And yet another customer who has to wait several weeks for their gold? Yes, I was just as shocked. Imagine going to your bank to pick up your gold, the asset protection for times of crisis. But instead of gold, all you get is a serious response. We're sorry, the waiting time for gold withdrawals is currently up to 8 weeks. 8 weeks? A full 2 months. And that's exactly what's happening right now in London. The Bank of England is struggling with a massive gold shortage. Gold withdrawals that used to take only a few days now drag on for several weeks. But what's really behind this gold shortage? I've analyzed this in detail and you'll find out the results in this video. My name is Nikola, Head of Trading at Goldvorsorge in Vienna, and I'm glad you're joining us today. Once again, events have been unfolding rapidly. In recent weeks, US President Donald Trump has imposed tariffs on goods from Canada, Mexico, and China. And now, of course, he has turned his critical gaze to the European market as well. And with the following statement, they hardly buy anything from us, neither cars nor our agricultural products, but we import everything from them. Millions of cars and enormous quantities of food. And with these very words, Donald Trump is addressing the US trade deficit, which is close to $1 trillion in 2024. Let's take a look at a graphic on this. Here you can clearly see that in 2024, the US imported significantly more than it exported. And among the most important trading partners are precisely those countries affected by the tariffs, including the European Union and Great Britain. But what does Trump want to achieve with these tariffs? On the one hand, he wants to protect domestic production, and on the other hand, of course, to further expand it. But these measures have far-reaching consequences, not only on an economic level, but also in the precious metals sector. The aforementioned tariff measures have, of course, triggered a veritable gold panic, and we especially feel this in the availability of physical gold. Since the US elections in November, nearly 400 tons of gold have been moved from London to the New York COMEX vaults. What happened? The following: the waiting time to pick up physical gold at the Bank of England has increased from a few days to up to 8 weeks. And this scenario is of course also confirmed by current reports, as you can see here. Yes, this is a clear signal of just how tense the situation in the market really is. And unfortunately, I have to say, too late is too late. Because what do you need to keep in mind? You need to act correctly in advance and, of course, store your assets independently of banks. Then let's take a closer look at the behavior of major banks in exactly such times. In times of crisis, banks primarily save themselves, unfortunately, often at the expense of their customers. So how do they do that? It's quite simple. They always save their most valuable assets first, not the customers, but their physical gold reserves. The customers are usually always the last in line. I'm afraid I have to disappoint you there. It's exactly the same as in the London case. Some insiders have even whispered to me that the total inflows to New York are actually higher than the already mentioned 400 tons. Because even with the gold outflows in London, the biggest banks once again have their golden fingers in play. For their VIP clients, none other than JP Morgan and others are moving several million ounces of gold into their private vaults in New York. And this scenario is not something we're seeing for the first time. We already have experience with this, as I recall earlier turbulence in the gold market. Here, the year 2013. In that year, China's aggressive gold accumulation emptied London's vaults, which led to a significant price increase. You can also see this clearly in this chart. 21% up in 2013 due to China's aggressive gold purchases. But what is the gold price doing in the current situation? It shows a similar pattern. However, we must keep in mind that we are only at the beginning phase of a supercycle. Of course, I can reassure you here because it is not too late to invest in gold. But please don't wait too long because the gold price won't wait either. However, it is very important to buy physical metal and not paper money. Why? Let's take a closer look at that now. Currently, there is higher demand in the market than there is physical gold available. This is also evidenced by the current ratio of traded paper gold to physical gold. At the moment, this value is about 127.8 to 1. What does that mean? For every ounce of physical gold that actually exists, there are almost 128 digital paper positions, such as derivatives or speculative investments. Let's take another look at London, where currently everyone wants to have their gold physically delivered. Well, that's unfortunate. For the majority, unfortunately, that's not possible because the physical gold backing is too low for the current digital positions. It should be mentioned here that the problem is not an overall shortage of gold, but rather a huge imbalance in the ratio of paper gold to physical gold, and this situation will continue. That's exactly why it's so important to invest in physical gold, because only real gold offers the protection that investors need in times of crisis, and much more so than unstable paper gold. And even though the banks are now shifting everything around, I can reassure you once again, there is still enough gold available on the market. It's just important to invest in the yellow metal as soon as possible, or to buy more during pullbacks, because the next movements could be explosive. You can already clearly see that all the major global economic players, like JP Morgan and others, are storing huge amounts of physical precious metals in their vaults, allowing them to enjoy independence and freedom. And do you also want to enjoy the freedom and financial independence that physical gold offers you? Then don't wait too long, because the gold price won't wait for you. Day by day, we are consistently seeing brand new highs. And I carefully analyze this trend every single day in my professional work. Start benefiting now from the everlasting stability. Visit Goldvorsorge at the following link to secure your golden future. If you don't want to miss out on such up-to-date analyses and information, subscribe to our channel now and activate the bell, because that way you'll always be well informed about the latest developments in the gold market and the global economy. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.